There was some ugly stuff during the campaign. Graffiti in Bennelong, we saw. James,
well, it was an ugly campaign, wasn't it? I
mean, it was a very ugly campaign.
There was just the hostility, the absolute misogynistic attacks against the Conservative women.
Here, look at this here. I mean, I can sort of describe to you what is being graffitied here. It might be, you know, a bit much for a Sunday morning.
Look at him, bold, in front of all that traffic.
But just graffitiing Simon Kennedy's posters in Bennelong there, just boldly in the middle of the day, people going by about their business. There were so many cases of attacks, ugly run-ins in a number of seats. In Patterson, in Macquarie, was particularly vicious.
We had a campaign car that was vandalised, I believe.
Down in Flinders, with, again, misogynistic language against the female candidate.
Where was the ABC?
Yeah, Jacinta Price's posters defaced.
With the word fascist. I mean, can you fancy calling a woman...
Jacinta Price a fascist?
Yeah. Who has devoted her life to fighting for Indigenous women and children, to call her a fascist? Whoever did that, shame on you. You are beneath contempt.
Well, the good news is the revenge. Jacinta Price does appear to have won her Senate seat, which is great. Here's a photo that Warren Mundine sent me yesterday. Warren and Jacinta up there at the in the Northern Territory. Great news to have Jacinta in the Parliament. That'll be the one sensible Indigenous voice in the Parliament, will be Jacinta Price's. But we are going to be, and we'll have to get Jacinta on to talk about this.
Ken Wyatt's lost his seat.
Ken Wyatt's gone. There you go. Go woke, go broke. There you go. We've got a promise of a First Nations, a Canadian term, but anyway, now it's an Australian term, a First Nations ambassador. So Penny Wong has promised us that Albo will introduce, and there was, apparently, Rita, they were talking about this last night. I couldn't watch. I switched off by then. They were talking about they're going to have a Indigenous ambassador or something or other to trot around the world. That'll be your taxpayers' money funding that. Not quite sure what that ambassador intends to achieve, but no doubt we'll be hearing lots and lots of this.
We are going to have identity politics on steroids. I mean, this... the media saying that, oh, you know, the culture wars, we don't want the culture wars. You're going to have the culture wars as policy every single day. But, of course, the media won't call that out because they'll be on board with it. This is a radically left Labor Party. You might have Albo on the front page of the telly saying, I'm not woke, but you look at their policies,
well,
you
have
look
a look at this. Here we go already. Have a look.
Race.
I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet. I pay my respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, and on behalf of the Australian Labor Party, I commit to the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full.
Tonight, we can take that step forward to fulfilling the promise of the Uluru Statement from the Heart.
So what we're now going to see is the very same racist policies that are destroying New Zealand now being brought to Australia to destroy Australia. Racist policies that pitch people against each other depending on the colour of their skin, which give special rights and privileges to so-called First Nations people. Exactly what has happened in New Zealand, where it's an absolute disaster. So in the same way that we're going to make all the mistakes that Europe made, that Rita mentioned earlier on energy, we're going to make all the same mistakes under Albanese. We're also going to make all the same mistakes that New Zealand has made under Jacinda Ardern, particularly on this question of race. Now, and here you had in a nutshell. Now, I have no problem with paying respects and acknowledging country and doing all of those things when it is the appropriate moment. But it doesn't have to be mandatory at every single function. Yet there was Scott Morrison last night also getting up to make his concession speech, paying his acknowledgements to First Nations and so on.